The relationship between Canada and America is actually quite over as we know it. Mark Carney at least was right about that, even though it was partially Mark Carney's fault in conjunction with Justin Trudeau. The trade war continues. Sort of. You've got conflict, inability to find some sort of middle ground, no agreements, and Trump recently just completely tore up the entire idea of having any sort of trade talks. But why? Well, that's because Canada launched propaganda in America using past presidents, American presidents' words against them, sort of, taken out of context. So Trump is like, you know what? We're just going to rip it up and throw it away. Go screw yourself, Canada. You're going to be the 51st state anyways. And it's actually getting significantly worse since then. Even though you haven't heard much about it, some report just came out that the U.S. envoy warns Canada to seriously consider not ever using those types of ads ever again and actually stay the hell out of America. Canada, keep your media in Canada and we'll keep things as we please in America. So we're going to be taking a look at this because it doesn't seem like Canada and America are closer to any trade deal. It actually seems like they're further apart than ever. What does this mean for Canada? What does this mean for America? Well, with the recent NVIDIA earnings report, where they have made billions and billions of dollars, I think like 60 billion, just shy of $60 billion this past quarter, I don't think the American economy, the American market really cares much about Canada not participating in trade talks and being bad. Like, America's like, you're a little fly on the wall. We don't give a shit about you. We can squash you anytime. And Canada keeps being little chihuahua, the gay chihuahua, just barking from the corner. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. All I ask in return is for you guys to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.
Wait, handshake. Let's do all the variants.
With newfound friends, there are always some hiccups.
Thank you very much, President, Prime Minister, sorry. For me,
I like that. That's true.
Despite the Chilean
Yeah, soon to be governor.
president's slip, Mark Carney's time in Asia has largely been taken up by the actual president of the United States.
Did you apologize to Donald Trump about Ontario's anti-tariff ad?
I did apologize to the president. President was offended by the act, or by the ad rather, and it's not something I would have done.
Carney apologized in person at this dinner in the president's honor on Wednesday, but it didn't fix anything.
No, but I have a very good relationship. I like him a lot.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation.
The ad, which accurately uses Ronald Reagan's hatred of tariffs.
Notice how Canadian propaganda will say it accurately uses his words.
The public reason the U.S. president gave for calling off trade talks, negotiations that are the sole responsibility of the prime minister, according.
You know, Canada launched a very similar ad in America to what China did. China used Ronald Reagan's words out of context and launched ad campaigns in America to say that tariffs are bad against China. Kind of interesting that both Canada and China did the exact same thing. Never in my life would I imagine that Canada would be cozying up to China over America. So what's the new news? Well, we're going to take a look at now because the U.S. envoy warns that Canada's crossed the line and they better not freaking do it again.
So the question is, do you think that will restart or we will get somewhere? Because obviously I mentioned earlier.
It will restart. The question is when.
Neither of us know. It seems like.
I've got suggestions that I think can get it restarted, but it's not going to be easy. Okay. Here, I'll just get myself in trouble.
No, I can go.
But let me tell you, I go around the country and people will say, Pete, you just don't understand why we're so mad about the 51st state. It's kind of like, yeah, you're right, I don't. Okay?
Well,
and then I read, all I can say is to my Canadian friends is, you don't understand, because I read the media and I listen to other discussions, the president got mad about an ad. Well, I've been in this business for a while, and I know people who've been in it longer than I have. And I asked them, okay, the ad that was run by the government of Canada. Oh, that's not the government of Canada. It's Ontario. It's kind of like, I'm sorry, we don't go through that, slicing and dicing. And, it's kind of like...
No. It did go through the government of Canada because the Ontario government, Doug Ford, specifically showed it to Carney, and Carney said, yep, we like it. So it absolutely did go through the government of Canada, even though it was the Ontario government that launched the campaigns, and then a series of other provinces also wanted to do this.
No one can ever remember a like circumstance where a foreign government came into the United States and, they were talking about $54 million of ads, American dollars, so real money. Just a joke, just a joke.
It is real money. Canadian snow pesos are not doing very good. It seems like it's going to be getting worse. It is real money. The world functions off of American dollars, at least, hopefully for a very long time, but at least for right now. Canadian dollars are irrelevant. So yes, it's real money. It's a funny joke. And anybody who's offended by that, look yourself in the mirror.
Okay, lighten up. That's the quote. Trouble. Targeting the President of the United States and his policies 10 days before an election and a couple of weeks before a Supreme Court case would be heard in front of the Supreme Court. I'm sorry, that does not happen in the United States of America. You do not come into America and start running political ads, government-funded political ads, and expect that there will be no it's the government coming in again to control that. And expect that there will be no consequences or reaction from the United States of America and the Trump administration. It has, as far as we can tell, it has never happened in America before. And if Canada wants to insert itself and create a new precedent that you're going to participate in our electoral politics through advertising targeting the President of the United States and his policies, I would suggest that you seriously consider whether that is the best way to try to achieve your objectives in the United States of America.
If Canadians are upset by America throwing out like Trump and other, politicians just saying the 51st state, Canada is going to be the 51st state. If you're a Canadian and you're offended by that, but you're also the same person who's like, yeah, I like the ads that Doug Ford did in America. And look at the ads at how successful they were using Ronald Reagan's speech about tariffs. Look how successful that was. Let's stick it to America. Elbows. If that's you, then I think that that's just being a hypocritical piece of garbage. You can't encourage Canada interfering in America, but then get offended when America makes jokes or jabs about Canada, right? It's super bizarre. And if that is the case, if you are that person, chances are you're a liberal and you should be technically happy and you should actually like Donald Trump because Trump helped Mark Carney get elected by saying that he likes that guy and he'd rather work with liberals than with conservatives in Canada. So it's all very bizarre. But the underlying main point of this video, the meat and potatoes, is that the woke radical left in Canada is so brainwashed into thinking that it's okay for Canada to take shots at America figuratively, not actual bullets, but just jokes and ads, like spending $75 million or $100 million on ads in America targeting Americans, saying, hey, tariffs are bad and you should be angry with your president. But it's okay. It's not okay for Trump to take, political shots, theoretically, not like bullets at Canada. It's very bizarre. We're living in a bass-backwards world. And I can't wait for the day where we can actually start to get along a little bit more, not to sound like a hippie kumbaya, but I don't know if we're any closer to that. But maybe Canada is actually a little bit closer to being the 51st state, with Mark Carney's recent budget that puts Canada into $80 billion of debt within the next year. And who knows how much debt he's going to propose and get approved for in 1 year from now. It's looking like Canada is a little bit on the verge of bankruptcy. So I don't know if that means a buyout from America or what that even looks like, but we're going to have to wait and see how this does play out. All I know is that Trump isn't messing around this term, and I just think it's very bad for Canada to try to stick it and stand up to President Trump when history shows that that just isn't successful ever for any country to do that, let alone Canada. That's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.